episode 32 of A Slice of Pie podcast. My name is Kat Loftus. Thank you for tuning in. This week we welcome Jennifer Kaylor. Jennifer is the director of Students in the Word. Students in the Word is a release Bible study class where students leave their public school campus and travel in buses to another location to learn about the Bible, learn about the gospel, and talk about all those things and have some snack. And it's offered to students in high school and middle school in the Pawleys Island area. And next fall, they're going to expand to the Georgetown area. Jennifer and I talk about when Students in the Word was founded, and it was started before she was even involved with it, how it's growing. Why do kids participate? You'll laugh at some of the reasons why kids participate in Students in the Word. And maybe some of you that are listening, your child participated in Students in the Word. My children didn't participate in Students in the Word, although we do go to church every week. I just didn't know enough about it. And if I had, I would have let my children participate and encourage them. And I think it's a great place and a great space for them, for any kid who's worried about anything, suffering from anxiety. You know, there's a lot of pressure on students to be a certain way and act a certain way because I see so much on social media. It's a great place for them to go and just relax and learn that they can be accepted for just the way they are. So I think you'll enjoy listening to Jennifer Kaylor talk about Students in the Word. And also toward the end, we're going to talk about their need for buses. They're trying to buy some buses because they need more transportation because they have so many students who want to participate. So you're going to want to stay tuned till the end so you can hear about that and find out a way you could donate some money for the buses for Students in the Word. Hope you're having a great week. We do have the pollen here now. Pollen's arrived. That's okay that everything's covered in yellow. That means that the warmer weather and longer days are just around the corner, and we are turning our clocks back this weekend, so that's super exciting. I hope you'll enjoy this episode, so let's get into it. It's episode 32 of A Slice of Pie podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Have you ever been on a podcast before?
I have never been on a podcast before, so I'm excited for a new opportunity, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, but you've been interviewed before a lot.
I have.
Because we're here today to talk about Students in the Word.
Yes.
And you are currently the director of Students in the Word, is that correct?
I am the executive director for Students in the Word. I started with the ministry 7 years ago as a teacher, but have since then stepped into this role.
That's great. You must have been doing a great job that they saw that you had that leadership capacity. So good. I'm glad you're here doing that. So before we start talking, getting really in depth to Students in the Word, I just want to get some personal information about you, if that's okay.
Sure.
So can you tell our listeners where you were born, where you grew up, and where you went to school?
I am an Air Force angel. My father was a career Air Force pilot, so I'm not really from anywhere. I was born actually in Germany. And by the time I went to college, we had lived in, I think, 9 or 10 different locations, and I had gone to like 9 or 10 different schools. We moved around a lot.
Did you mostly live in the United States, just started in Germany, or?
No. We spent time overseas in the Far East, a lot of time in the Southeast of the United States, and sometimes out in the Southwest. But we moved about every 1.5 to 2 years. And it was a great way to grow up. I learned a lot, got to see a lot.
And did you think that was normal? That was your normal?
I guess so. I do still have wanderlust, and I love to travel. And about every few years, I'm kind of like, maybe I'm supposed to be moving into a different house or something like that. And but on the flip side, I've really loved putting down roots here in Pawleys Island. And this has been by far the longest I've ever lived in one place. And this is home, even though I'm not a native and I was not born here, it is home.
Well, certainly in Pawleys Island, we're so appreciative of the time you spent in other places, and you bring all that knowledge to Pawleys Island and all these experiences. So we're lucky to have someon like you here in Pawleys Island.
Thank you.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Wake Forest University up in North Carolina.
Smart. To be able to get into Wake Forest, that's a great school.
Yeah, it was a great school. It was a great fit for me at the time. My father had retired from the Air Force, and they moved to Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, and so they were nearby. And the Carolinas were becoming home for our family, so it was a great time.
And what did you major in college?
I was a business major. Started out in the business consulting field after college, had my midlife crisis when I was in my 20s. I'm always an early achiever.
There you go.
Had my midlife crisis and went into interior design and got a design degree and worked for decades with a local interior designer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Who did you work with?
Tweed McElveen.
Did
at
you?
McElveen
I love
Designs.
Tweed.
Yes.
She's
yes.
great.
I worked at McElveen Designs for decades and had reached
phenomenal.
a point. She was phenomenal, and it was a wonderful season, and she was so generous and accommodating as I was having children and raising children and things like that. And throughout my time there, I was also very heavily involved with the schools and volunteering with PTAs and serving with my church and children ministry and youth ministry and things at church. And I reached a point where I felt like the season as a designer was coming to a close and that God was calling me to be open to doing something else. And I had no idea what that was. And it took about 4 years of just patiently praying. What do you have for me? I sense you calling me to something bigger or different. And that's when I started with Students in the Word.
Okay. Before we jump to that, can I go backwards for just a second and ask you why did you move? No, I want to ask you, first of all, tell us about your family, about your husband and children. Tell us about them real quick.
So I'm married to Kevin Kaylor. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary last year. Yeah. He's originally from Virginia. We met post-college, and he is a financial advisor with Wells Fargo Advisors locally. And we have 3 children. Our oldest, Christopher, is a graduate of UVA and living and married in DC. He's living in DC and is married and doing quite well. He's a Waccamaw grad. Our daughter, Caroline, is, oh gosh, I've got to do the math. She's 22, soon to be 23. Graduated from Samford University in Birmingham, and she's in grad school at Medical University of South Carolina doing physical therapy.
Wow.
And then our youngest, Jackson, is a senior at Waccamaw this year, graduating in a few months, and he's headed to University of Tennessee for engineering.
Smart children. I know
we're
proud
very
of
blessed.
them.
We're so blessed. They're great kids.
Congratulations.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work. It's tough being a mom, isn't it?
It is.
It's day by day. Yeah.
It is.
Takes a lot of prayer, doesn't it?
It does.
Lots
of prayer.
Well, I hope they continue to be successful. I know you're so proud of them. And what caused you and Kevin to move to Pawleys Island?
As I mentioned earlier, my parents had retired to Murrells Inlet, and I'm an only child. And so we had a very close relationship. And when we got married, Kevin was transitioning from a career in the Army, and he had gotten out of the Army and was kind of finding his way professionally. And an opportunity opened up for me to come down to South Carolina to work with Tweed McElveen at McElveen Designs. So we decided to jump on that and make it happen. And that was the catalyst that brought us down here. And then we just have stayed here ever since.
And you like it? You love it?
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
I do. I love living here too. Okay, so now we're going to jump into Students in the Word.
Right.
Okay? So what is Students in the Word and when did it begin?
Students in the Word is a nonprofit organization based here in Georgetown County, South Carolina. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible official corporation in South Carolina. It began back in 2009, so we're coming up on our 15-year anniversary, which we're pretty excited about. But in a nutshell, Students in the Word is an organization that provides an opportunity for public school students through released time Bible education to know Jesus Christ, be transformed by His Word, and become equipped to serve others in His name. So we are a released time Bible education organization that is focused on the mission field of public school students during their public school day to share the gospel with those students and to provide the hope and the life-giving opportunity for them to know God and His Word and be transformed by that.
I love that. So 2009, I'm just trying to think about how old my oldest children were when it came to be. Who were the who originally founded Students in the Word?
That's a great question.
Or why was it founded?
Well, it's an interesting origin story. Back in that season, around 2009, the Waccamaw community went through a series of losses, especially at the high school, through either car accidents, my understanding was, or drug overdoses or suicides. There were several losses. And there was a response that welled up within the community from women or people from various churches in the community that wanted to intentionally step into serving students in a more powerful way than just covering it in prayer. And so through various conversations and discovery, they learned about the idea of release time Bible education. And that was kind of what birthed the idea of bringing this kind of program to Georgetown County.
Okay, Jennifer, I want to ask you, at what age do students participate in Students in the Word?
So under Georgetown County School District policy, we're allowed to serve middle school and high school students in the county. Mm-hmm. So we currently offer programming from anywhere from 6th grade up through 12th grade students.
Okay, that's really good. Which schools participate in Students in the Word?
Right now, we currently serve Waccamaw High School students, Waccamaw Middle School, Waccamaw Intermediate 6th graders, Coastal Montessori Charter 7th and 8th graders, and then we're also going to start serving Georgetown High School students in August of 2024.
I love that. I love that you're expanding. That's great.
Growing.
Obviously, it's successful and there's a greater need. I love this. Mm-hmm. And how did you get involved with Students in the Word?
As I mentioned, I was seeking a change and feeling led and called to something different. And I originally stepped into the classroom as the lead teacher for the classes and kind of was referred to the program from a friend from church who was at the time teaching, and she had shared with me that she was stepping down and retiring. And I was like, oh, that's really wonderful. Good news for you. And about 2 months later, I was like, I think that's what God's calling me to do. And so I did apply and was hired back in 2017 to start with the ministry.
Okay. How many hours a week does it take you to do this? Is it full-time?
I'm a full-time paid position with the organization. We also have 5 other paid employees that are either teachers or teaching assistants that work part-time.
Okay. When your children were coming through the Waccamaw schools, did they participate in Students in the Word?
2 of my children did. My daughter participated as a high schooler before I was ever a part of the ministry. And then I did have the great joy of having my youngest son in the class twice as one of my students. And it was such a joy and privilege to be able to have him in the process.
And did they like it?
They did. They loved it.
Okay, cool. Why do you think students want to take this course?
Do you want the real answer or the nice answer?
I want both.
The nice answer would be, we would hope that students would be interested in taking the class to further their relationship with Jesus Christ and to hear the gospel and learn more about the Bible and all of those good kingdom reasons.
Right.
The reality is that most of our students come to us because they've heard it's an easy class. It's an easy A.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun. We give out a lot of food and candy.
Yep.
I can get off campus for a class period. There were no other electives that I wanted to take. My mom and dad made me take it. My best friend's in the class. I have a crush on the boy that's in the class. All of those reasons that bring them here. And they always look at us kind of funny when we were like, we don't care why you're here. And they're like, well, that's kind of rude. And we're like, but we know that God is going to work with whatever reason brought you here. And so we really don't care why you're here because it will be a transforming experience no matter what.
I love that you mentioned the reality, and that is reality that they just probably just want to leave school for a little bit. Right. And that's fine. And that's fine.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they start hearing something. They said, hey, that's interesting. Maybe I do want to talk about that. Maybe I want to listen a little bit more.
Exactly.
Because maybe some of these kids don't go to church.
Right. And most of the students that come to our class are not churched.
Are not churched. And that's fine,
Right.
But what a great opportunity. So, and, I've often heard it said, you can't go start quoting scripture to somebody who doesn't believe in Jesus because really that's not their language.
Right.
Why are we quoting scripture to somebody that's not even their language?
Right.
You need to meet people right where they are. And if it's all about the snack, let's start with the snack.
Exactly.
And if it's about a trip off campus, let's just start with the trip off campus.
Exactly.
And then, and then you listen to what they got. They listen to what you got. And it's just to have a great exchange. A great exchange of ideas. I love that.
We're all about casting seeds.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Love it. That it's not heavy-handed.
No,
I love that.
Not at all.
Not heavy-handed.
Not at all.
What criteria has to be met in order for Students in the Word to be legally protected as a legitimate course for public school students to participate in? Because, we hear this. If anybody's watching this podcast, say, how can they do that?
Right.
There is a legal separation between church and state.
Right.
Why are these people allowed to offer this course teaching about Jesus Christ to public school students?
Right.
So let's tell us how that works.
So I have a quick little story. Interestingly enough, I was in the first few months of my service with this ministry, and I was at a fundraiser, and a woman came up to me and she's like, well, I'm a Christian, but what you're doing is illegal.
Right.
And I was like, I had no idea how to answer that question because I was like, well, they hired me. I guess it's legal. I don't know.
You were broadsided.
I was totally broadsided. And so I made sure I learned the reasons why, and we make sure that we teach our students in every single class the reasons why they can do this class. Release time Bible education is a concept that has been around for more than 100 years in the United States. Mm-hmm. And it is protected from the level all the way under the First Amendment Bill of Rights mm-hmm. through the United States Supreme Court and rulings that have upheld this to South Carolina state law, as well as Georgetown County School District Board of Education policy. Okay. And all of those levels of government protect programs like Students in the Word that are doing released time religious instruction. So one question that we get pushed back on is we are a Christian-based organization. However, any religious group could offer a class like what we're doing under the release time religious instruction provisions and protections. In order for it to be legal, there are three things that we have to adhere to. We call them the big three. Mm-hmm. The first thing is that a student can only attend the class with parent or guardian permission. So we are not forcing or requiring a student to participate in the class. They are choosing to participate in the class according to their will. The second thing is that our classes have to meet off campus. We have to meet away from school grounds. School grounds are government property. And because of that separation of church and state, and the school cannot establish religion at school grounds, so we have to remove the students from school grounds. And so we partner with nearby churches that provide classroom space, that donate that space for our use daily, and so the classes meet at a nearby church partner. And then the third criteria is that no taxpayer funding can be used for the operations of the programming. So we receive no support from the schools, no support from the school district, no support from the Department of Education.
No financial support.
No financial support
right.
From any of those entities or any other sort of taxpayer entities. So we are completely self-funded, and we rely on church partnerships for financial support. We rely on grants that we apply for. We rely on fundraisers and the generous support of individual donors mm-hmm. to sustain the programming.
Okay, I love that. Okay. So, parent permission, student choice. Mm-hmm. No student is forced into taking this course. You meet off campus.
Correct.
You're not using any school grounds that are with public Correct. Tax dollars have been paid for. And you are not funded by any kind of public funds. It is Correct. Private donations.
Correct.
All private donations. Okay,
and as long as we meet those three criteria, it is absolutely legal and protected as a religious freedom in the United States.
Love that. Okay. And has Students in the Word ever been met with any challenges for its ability to be offered?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about any of that?
Sure. We're not unique. There are programs across the country that are doing release time Bible education that are coming under attack all the time mm-hmm. in various ways. We had an episode probably about 5 or 6 years ago. We currently operate under an arrangement with Georgetown County School District where we pay the district for the use of a bus and a bus driver to provide the transportation for our classes. Mm-hmm. And we fully reimburse the district for that and fully cover the expenses of that to keep it legal. But however, a national like civil liberties
sure.
type organization caught wind of that, and they challenged the district on that, and they had to prove and provide verification that we were in fact legally reimbursing the district at the full cost for that.
I love that. So the school district answered that question. They did not crumble. They answered the question
Correct.
And said, no, we're doing this legally.
Correct.
And
Correct.
we're going to keep letting them do it. You know?
Correct.
I love that. Okay. Has anyone else tried to shut your program down?
Not locally.
Uh-huh.
Not
okay.
locally. We're very blessed that in our relationship with the school district and the administrators of the schools that we serve and with the broader community, we do enjoy very widespread support and favor mm-hmm. With all of those relationships. But we are very careful to really adhere to those big three criteria. And there have been occasions over the years where situations have arisen, especially like through the COVID years, where the schools were saying, hey, can you do it this way? Can you do it that way? And I had to come back to them and say, I'm sorry, that would be illegal, or that would put us in a tenuous,
jeopardy, yeah.
That would put us in a tenuous gray area that would not be good. And so we're very, very adamant about towing that legal line to make sure that we can keep going.
Absolutely. Now, so who governs Students in the Word? Do you have a board, and who's on the board?
So we are governed by a board of volunteers, the Students in the Word board, because we are completely separate from the schools. We're currently under the leadership of Louis M. Sandy, who is the minister at Pawleys Island Presbyterian.
Love him. Yeah.
Other members of our board include the minister at St. Paul's Methodist. We have a lot of people on our board that are representing our church partners that serve on our board as part of that relationship and that partnership with those churches. So we have a board of about 10 volunteers that meet monthly to provide oversight and counsel for the organization.
And do they look at your curriculum, or who chooses the curriculum?
We do. The schools are not allowed to have any oversight over our curriculum. So the Students in the Word organization picks our curriculum. And we do use curriculum in our daily classes that is professionally published and produced for the purpose of sharing the gospel and discipling students.
So y'all didn't create the curriculum. It's a curriculum that's already been created. Is that correct?
We have pulled from a number of sources. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of resources out there that are specifically made for release time Bible education programs. So we have pulled from a variety of sources that either have developed custom curriculum for release time programs, or are Sunday school type curriculums, or adult Bible study curriculums. And we do end up heavily customizing those curriculums for our audience and for our age groups. But the one thing we do very much adhere to is all of them are gospel focused. We like to say that every student in every class is getting the same message, but just in a different package, because we do offer different curriculums at each grade level. A lot of our students will start with us in 6th grade and journey with us every single school year for 4 to 5 years. And so we try to offer a different curriculum each year, but it's the same message.
The teacher in me is coming out now when we start talking about curriculum.
Right.
These are some students' questions I forgot to write down, so I think you just answered my question. So if a student starts with you in 6th grade and takes the course, then they will have a different set of coursework in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade.
Correct.
And there are tests.
So students take the class daily as an elective class. So they pick Students in the Word as they might pick art, PE, music. It's a 1 semester elective. To participate in the class, they will receive a grade in the class. We're required to submit attendance records to the school for the class. And the class does show up in their school records as a religion elective. And at the high school level, we're pretty excited about, in South Carolina, they can take the class up to 2 times for credit toward graduation as an elective credit.
Okay, cool. So so they are graded. They
are graded. So they will either complete tests or projects or classwork or things like that we do throughout the course of the semester for the sake of producing that grade.
Okay, so like there's a syllabus and everything. Wow. Okay, next objectives. That's great. I love that.
We have course requirements. We have a course covenant that covers behavior and expectations in the class. We have course guidelines. We have curriculum that we use. We have routine standard things that we include every semester and every week that we do that are the rhythms and the routines of the class. So it is a legitimate class with the expectations like any other elective class at the school.
Do you ever have to deal with any behavior issues with the students?
On a rare occasion. Like I mentioned, all of the students that are taking the class are doing it with parent or guardian permission. So it's been an active choice to take the class. And so I think that eliminates a lot of the issues that we have because students are here by choice. But having said that, the nature of working with middle schoolers and high schoolers is that, there's a lot of energy in the room sometimes. And sometimes the energy produces less than positive activity or behavior in the classroom. And so there are rare occasions where we have to step into a situation. And the other reality is that, through those really formative years of life, there's often friendship drama and relationship drama and things that they're struggling with, and that often comes into play in the classrooms. But we love that we're able to speak hope and truth into that and kind of come alongside the students in those situations.
Yeah. How about cell phones? Do you have to tell them to put away their cell phones? So, just like a regular class.
Exactly.
Like a regular class. Yeah.
Our classrooms are very relationally based, discipleship based, and so the dynamics of our classrooms we use very little technology in the classrooms because it is very conversationally based.
I love that.
Relationally based and fellowship based, and the only textbook we use is the Bible, and so there's a lot of reading and response and discussion.
A lot of interaction, a lot of participation. I like that. Okay. I'm going to talk about funding for a little bit because I think people are always looking for transparency with funding, transparency with donations. So can we just talk about that for just a little bit? So how do you receive your funding and your support one more time?
Our funding is, like I mentioned, we are self-funded. We have to raise all of the money that we use. So, for example, this year our current budget is over $200,000 for this school year.
Okay.
And that's to serve. We're serving currently 4 schools with a 5th one coming on board for next school year. Our sources of funding include church partners that will do domestic missions, grants, or other donations to us financially to support the ministry. We do participate in a number of fundraisers throughout the year, such as Palmetto Giving Day, Coastal Giving Tuesday, which are online-driven, social media-driven fundraising efforts. We do a direct mailing fundraiser in the fall called Faith Partners that we basically mail to previous donors, alumni families, and friends and families of students in the Word to make donations. And we also do sometimes some in-person events to raise money. And of course, we'll always accept a donation. So I've had to learn in my role as executive director, I'm never not asking for money. It's a constant. So there are a couple of ways that people do donate to us if they're doing individual donations. We have a website, studentsintheword.org. There's a donate button there that they can make a donation through PayPal, either a one-time donation, a recurring donation, a monthly donation. So there is that option to donate online. Of course, we always receive checks. We have a P.O. Box 163 in Pawleys Island that people will mail donations to us. And so we are very blessed that we have extraordinarily generous supporters that love our program, love what we're doing, and we've been very blessed to be able to do what we're doing and keep growing.
And it works out every year. It's been working out.
It always does.
How about that?
It always does.
So it's good to know. So Palmetto Giving Day is coming up.
Correct.
That's in May, correct?
May 7th and 8th.
So you're one of the ones ready to receive some donations.
Yes.
So that's good to know. So
yes.
If I'm doing a podcast that week, I'll make sure to highlight y'all and give y'all a mention. A little shout out there. Okay. So with your budget, you say you raise about $200,000 a year. What does your budget go to? Where the budget costs go to? How many paid staff members do you have, and what do they do?
So the majority of our budget covers the expense of providing paid staff in the classrooms. For various reasons, we made the decision a number of years ago. We put 2 adults in every classroom. So we have a lead teacher and a teaching assistant in each classroom serving every day. So in order to cover all of the classes that we offer on the Waccamaw Neck right now, and then as we move into Georgetown and keep adding more schools, we'll be adding more staff. So the majority of our budget is covering the expense of paying the staff that is there every day teaching the classes. The other significant portion of our budget historically has been transportation, as I mentioned, reimbursing the district for the driver and for the gas and mileage for the use of the bus. However, we are very excited because of the extraordinary growth that we're experiencing. We've more than doubled the number of schools that we're serving. We've doubled the number of students we're serving. We've more than tripled or more our staff. We've doubled the number of classes we're offering every day. And we've been doing all of that since at least 2017 with 1 bus and 1 driver. And we honestly have kind of reached a breaking point with that, where we've really stretched that and stressed that situation more than it can handle. And so our organization in the last few months has been exploring our options, and we made the decision as a board a couple of months ago that we are going to begin purchasing and operating our own buses. And so we actually just launched recently a campaign, our Bus Capital campaign, to raise the money to buy 3 buses by the start of next school year.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot.
So
How much money do you need to buy 3 buses?
We're buying used buses, and each bus is about $35,000 to $40,000. We've been so blessed that we had enough on hand to order our first bus, which we have is on order and is coming our way soon. But we're trying to raise enough money to buy 2 more. So. Okay. But we are very, very much believers that God is capable of doing immeasurably more than we could ever ask or imagine.
There you go.
And so we are dreaming big.
Love that.
Dreaming big.
So I was joking with you before we started filming about who's going to get their CDL license. And I said, maybe I'll go do that for you. But you're saying the kind of buses that you're ordering,
correct,
do not require a CDL license.
Correct.
So they must sit lower to the ground or something, or I
No,
don't know.
So what we're doing is we're buying, I've done a lot of research about buses, and I've certainly relied heavily on other release time Bible education programs across the country and across the state to give me their advice about what direction we needed to move. We're buying small school buses that are called MFSAB, multifunctional student activity buses. They're a 14-passenger bus. They meet all of the federal and state guidelines for transporting students and the safety criteria that have to be present on those buses or those vehicles to transport students. And so by purchasing these 14-passenger buses, our own staff will be able to drive them. You don't have to have a CDL driver's license to drive that. So our staff will become the bus drivers, and we will begin transporting the students on our own.
And obviously you would have liability insurance covering
Correct.
all the buses.
We'll become responsible for the insurance, for the maintenance, for the gas. But we also will have the capacity to grow and to serve more students each day, more classes each day, more schools as we add buses to our fleet.
Okay, so now I'm thinking numbers. It can carry 14 passengers, but you have more than that in each class. How much do you normally have in one class? How many students?
So historically, we've been averaging around 20 students per class was our kind of preferred class size. And over the years, we've had classes that had more than that. We've had classes that had less than that, but that was always our target. And so with the purchase of these buses, we will have to be capping our classes at 14 students per class. But the good news, it's good news. The good news is we've been meeting with our administrators in our schools to kind of share with them the good news about the change that's coming our way. We're going to be adding more classes every day to serve, to continue serving the number of students that want to take the class. We have always said we would never want to turn a student away that wanted to take the class. And we would want to figure out how can we accommodate the number of students that want to take the class. So we're working very hard to make sure that happens.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to donate to your bus fund, can they just go to the donate button on Students in the Word? Okay, great.
They could do the online donation through the Students in the Word website, or they could mail a check to that P.O. Box 163, Pawleys Island.
Okay.
And just put a note on either of those donations that it's for the bus campaign.
Yeah, okay. And it is 501(c). I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. C3.
501c3.
C3, so it is tax deductible.
Correct.
Okay.
And so any donation that we receive, we do acknowledge with a receipt that has the correct verbiage on there, acknowledging that it's a tax deductible donation and that no goods or services were provided for the donation, along with just, heartfelt gratitude for the support. So,
that's good to know. I also wanted to ask you, I'm really thrilled about your success. I'm always for anyone that starts something new here in Pawleys Island because we don't have multiples of any one thing in our little town. So it's great when somebody starts something new here, especially something that's positive like Students in the Word. So do you think that this program was started based on other programs in South Carolina, other programs in the United States, or are there other release time Bible education programs in the state, in the United States, or are Students in the Word one of the first?
No. So as I mentioned earlier, Students in the Word has been operating in Georgetown County since 2009. It has been steadily growing since then. But for example, in the state of South Carolina, there are at least 7 or 8 other programs that I'm aware of, if not more, that are operating in South Carolina. We actually have a great relationship with a large program in Horry County that helped launch this program, for example. The interesting thing is that there's release time Bible education programs across the country. A lot of the programs do it differently. Many of the programs are elementary school level based. It's very rare to be a high school level based program like we are, or a middle school level program. We're an affiliate program of a national organization called School Ministries based in Columbia, South Carolina, that provides support and oversight for existing programs and helps launch new programs across the country. Last I heard, School Ministries has programs operating in at least 16 or 17 states with I don't know how many different individual programs and thousands of students that they're serving every day. But of course, there are other programs across the country that might be independent programs or affiliated with some other programs. So I really don't have a grasp on how many programs there are across the country. The interesting thing is I know of one program, for example, I think in Indiana or Ohio, that's celebrating their 100th anniversary soon. It's something that's been around for a long time and is more widespread than people realize.
100th anniversary. So this is 2024. So we're talking about 1924.
Mm-hmm. They've been around for a long time.
Amazing.
My own mother, for example, grew up in Minnesota, and she's like, I didn't realize this is what it was called, but she participated in the Release Time Bible Education classes as a child in Minnesota. One of our administrators at one of the schools we served grew up in Indiana doing Release Time Bible Education as an elementary school student.
Yeah.
So it's out there, and people aren't really aware of it and don't realize that it's going on and that it's available, but it's definitely out there.
Yeah, something that's just crossing my mind is we live in the United States and we live under the First Amendment where everybody has the freedom to speak what their opinion is on their beliefs.
Freedom of religion.
But a lot of times Christianity does not get equal time.
Right.
And so I think everybody that has a belief, regardless of your belief, should have equal time. Whether it's Christianity, atheism,
Islam, Judaism,
whatever everybody deserves equal time.
Right.
So it delights me that you have found a way to provide equal time for this platform. Way to go.
Well, and as I mentioned earlier, any belief system under the religious protections of release time, religious instruction could offer what we're doing. We just, as an organization, our mission happens to be focused on a Christian Bible-based mission.
Okay, what's Students in the Word's long-term vision? Do you have some long-term goals?
We do. We were so blessed about a year ago. We went through a strategic strategic planning process. A very guided, targeted process that we went through as an organization. We came out of that with a grand vision to go deeper and wider. The ultimate goal is that every public school student in Georgetown County would have access to a Release Time Bible Education program from the elementary school level all the way through the high school level. That's the grand vision long term. But to get there, we have goals along the way. Right now, as I mentioned, we're focused on middle school and high school grade levels. And we know that there are a number of programs in the county or a number of schools in the county that are not yet served. So we are trying to go wider in our programming, to expand our programming to serve new schools, new communities. And we're so excited to be launching programming to serve Georgetown High School in fall of 24. We're already registering students for that and putting together our network of church partners, and we've secured classroom space for that. So we're very excited about expansion. We're in discussions with some other schools in the county for expansion to additional schools beyond that.
I love that.
But at the same time, the other side of the strategic vision was to go deeper. So with the schools that we currently serve, to continue serving even more students coming out of those schools, to continue offering more classes to those particular schools and students. And I'm pleased to report that we are also growing deeper in our programming. The percentages of the number of students participating in the classes is just increasing every year, which is very exciting. And then the third component of our strategic plan was to build the ark, to anticipate the flood of participation and interest in the program that we know is coming and is already coming our way. And so we are trying to build the structure to anticipate the flood. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes as a board, as an organization, to make sure that we have the right organizational structure and policy and procedures and resources in place to be able to sustain and support that deep and wide growth that we're hoping to have.
Well, I really hope you do. I know you'll get there. I can see that you have put a lot of research and thought into what you're doing, and you're careful about it. And I know you're going to continue to grow. I look forward to seeing how you can get out to like Carver's Bay area, the Andrews area.
Just had a conversation with a woman this morning from that area that was like, I want to learn more.
And then, so I was formerly a teacher, and there was always the academic fair every year where students would participate in like an academic games against each other. I'm envisioning now all the kids from the different schools coming together and have some kind of like Bible Jeopardy or something like that.
Wouldn't that be fun? I love that idea.
Some kind of Bible Jeopardy, some kind of Students in the Word competition, which would be fun, So, but gosh, so many great things. And I'm just so thankful for your energy and for all your staff's energy and the board's energy to making this happen and providing something new and effective for the students. I think my last question I wanted to ask about Students in the Word is the effect that you think it's had on the students' lives and our community's life. What kind of effect do you see or the benefit that you see as a result of students participating in Students in the Word. Yeah.
How much time do we have? I could talk all day long with, as we like to say, testimony from the trenches.
Yeah.
Things that we see every day in the classrooms and every semester in the classrooms. Some of my favorite examples just off the top of my head. One of the first years that I taught the class, I had a 7th grade young man that was basically homeless and had moved to the area to escape abusive situations and was a bully, was being bullied, was basically illiterate, was struggling every which way in his life.
This was a walk-on student?
Yes.
Okay.
And he signed up for our class and yes, was one of those kids that challenged us every day.
Oh, yeah.
But the interesting thing is by the end of that semester and in subsequent years when we would run into that student, there was testimony from him and from the administrators at the schools that he was at about the transformation that began to take place that semester. And he went on to become an A student at the school that he was at and was participating in varsity sports and had just really made a complete turnaround. And it was such a privilege for us to be a part of that process for him. One other cute story that I love just on a personal level, a couple years ago, I was at an open house event for one of our schools. 7th grade boy comes bouncing up to me. He's like, I want to learn about this program because they tell me I can't take PE twice a day and I got to take something else. And so I told him, I gave him the elevator pitch and the description about the class. And I'm like, would love to see you. Hope you'll sign up. And as he walks away, I'm like, he's never going to sign up for this class.
Yeah.
He showed up in class the first day and started taking the class. And fast forward about 2 months into the class, he did a journaling response where he was like, I'm so thankful for Students in the Word. The Lord has come into my life as my Savior. And then he later shared how he was praying at home with his family who were not believers and leading his family in prayer. And the transformation that not only happened in his life, but as he was stepping out to transform his family. On a broader level, we just got testimony about a month ago. There was a large youth retreat gathering going on amongst youth groups in the Waccamaw Neck and Georgetown areas where a number of youth groups came together for a special weekend retreat. And one of our staff members was chaperoning on that trip. And she came back and she said, it was very evident in that room, in the interactions going on amongst the students who had taken Students in the Word were the ones that were stepping up in a leadership capacity to mentor and disciple and shepherd and serve and love on their fellow students and to share the Word of God with those students. And how amongst the youth ministers that were present at that gathering, amongst the community, there's a recognition that Students in the Word is having a transformational change in the community and raising up this generation to step out and to really serve others and to lead their community. And we're very excited to be serving what we think is one of the largest mission fields in the United States, the public school system, the public school students. One of the largest mission fields that we believe can bring about real transformational change in our society, in our culture, in our nation. And it's really exciting for us to begin to see that happening here in Georgetown County.
I'm so grateful for what you're doing, Jennifer. As a mom and as a former teacher, cell phones and the internet have just begun playing a huge role in these young people's lives. And through Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat and TikTok, they are deluged every day with negative influences. The culture that has, the party culture, the boy-girl culture, like anything and everything is acceptable. And when kids start participating in different kind of relationships that might not be beneficial to them, using narcotics, using alcohol, it just eventually they think it's fun at first, but eventually all that brings them down and makes them feel awful. And they need to have something that's going to build them back up.
Right.
So I'm so glad there is a force for good and something that just wants to let them know that they are loved, that somebody loves them, and that there is a better way. There is another way. There is an opportunity. So regardless of what they might see on their cell phones, there are other good things and other good reasons to live and represent and find other ways to love other people.
Right.
So thank you for being here, and thank you for leading students in the Word. And I hope that y'all have lots more success and grow the program beyond your wildest dreams.
Thank you. We hope so too.
Okay, we'll see you soon. And we're gonna have some student. I think we're going to have some videos, student testimonials following this interview. So everybody hang on for the student testimonials. Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. See you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
So I grow in fellowship with my peers because as students in the Word, we do group projects every day, and we're always in the Bible, and it's so much fun doing it.
McKinley, and I take Students in the Word. Students in the Word has impacted me because I get to see how others grow in Christ every single day, and it's a great way to start my morning off, and I love to see how God is working in other people's lives and how they're changing their lives and how those people are impacting other people by being disciples of Christ.
I just really think I love Students in the Word because it really comforts me, especially in the morning, but I don't know, especially if I'm going through a hard time, I feel like I just come into class in the morning and everything goes away. I just learn about God.
Students in the Word has made me think of God in everything that I do.
Students in the Word has made my work with Christ way more fun.
We dive deep into the Bible, and it strengthened my relationship with God so much. I'm so thankful for Students in the Word because we grow with God, and it starts our day off good.
I love Students in the Word because it's helped me become a better disciple of Christ.
Students in the Word has helped me start off my day learning about God.
Students in the Word keeps me reading the Bible and studying it with others.
It's helped me learn something new about God every day.
Some interesting things I learned from Jennifer Kaylor is that when students enroll in Students in the Word, it is an elective course that they receive high school credit for, and students in high school can receive up to 2 credits toward graduations for Students in the Word. And it's legal because no public funds are used for this program. It's not held on public school grounds. Public school money is not used to transport the students. Public school money is not used to pay the teachers. So because of that, it's legally acceptable for them to offer this course. I also found out that they have church partners. Most of the churches in the Pawleys Island area contribute in some way to this program, either financially or they provide a classroom space for the program. That was interesting to find out. It was also interesting to find out that they use certified teachers to teach these classes. So it's really a fascinating program, well-run program, very organized. They have a curriculum that they follow, grades that they give. It's very well-run. So if you are thinking about letting your child participate, I would encourage you to just check into it. They do have a web page that you can go look at, Students in the Word, and they have a social media page. I know on Instagram, Students in the Word, so go find those for more information. I hope y'all have a great week. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you would please rate, review, subscribe, like, hit the like buttons. Tell a friend, tell a family member to follow us along. If you have some ideas for other guests you'd like for us to interview, just let me know. Send me a message. I hope y'all are doing well, and don't turn your clocks back this weekend. Like I said earlier, it's spring. We got to spring forward. So turn your clocks 1 hour ahead on Saturday night. But, so great with cell phones now. They do it all by themselves. We'll see you soon, and have a great weekend and a great week. Bye.